lot of discussion this week about Musk's tweets, the showdown with Fremont and Alameda County. It sounds like you think the whole communication, the whole back and forth, sort of hints at the challenges they're facing in Q2 from a production standpoint.
Yeah, we think it might. There may be a few things at work here. That the pain from having production shut down is clearly, probably more than an annoyance. I think people who are signing up to the Tesla dream longer term don't doubt that Tesla has the liquidity to ride that out, and if necessary, could access more without a problem. But I think Elon, part of his ethos, part of his style has been kind of let's play to win, a play-to-win strategy, a play to dominate with, how can I say it, wanton disregard for traditional business communication norms. And while that can ruffle some feathers along the way, many investors absolutely adore that and see that as a strength. And so investors weigh the opportunity of starting a bit earlier and mitigating the cash burn with the potential liability that all automakers, frankly, face by maybe starting too early and contributing to some person-to-person contagion.
So it sounds like, you're absolutely, I think everybody agrees with you that his ability to play to win is a superpower. If any other CEO had done that, they would have been laughed off the stage. Why then the equal weight? Or why 680? Why not more bullish on Tesla in particular?
Well, we just think the stock is worth 680, and while we have a bull case of closer to 1,200, we need to be able to tell investors, if you're going to take on the risks of the story where there's still a lot left to prove, they've proven a lot more to go, including potentially massive capital needs as they announce terawatt-hour scale capacity. Where is that going to come from? How do they deploy it? Many of these economics would be unproven at the scale they're talking about. We need investors to have at least, something on the order of 30, 50, 100% upside to base case to compensate for those risks. That's where we are now relative to our coverage. So we're trying to let them do the work for us, and not forget, with some of the economic impairment that you've been talking about in your program, Tesla's not immune to that. They aren't, and it is way too soon. There's a lot we're going to learn once they open up as to where true demand is in places like Europe and the U.S., mainly outside of China, which is where our concern is that we think expectations could use a bit of resetting before we revisit that recommendation.
Adam, given the focus on capital and on the balance sheet at Tesla and really the automakers in general, but Tesla specifically, whether it's near term or whether it's longer term, if this company relocates out of California to Nevada or Texas, what does that mean from a financial standpoint?
Well, listen, that Fremont plant, with all due respect for the hard work and men and women making those cars, and they're doing a fantastic job, that plant, auto companies were closing plants in California in the 60s, in the 1960s. The Fremont plant was actually closed twice, once by General Motors and once by Toyota. The economics of making vehicles in arguably one of the most expensive places in the world is challenging. And while Tesla certainly benefited from the access to talent, particularly on the software side, but also clearly the manufacturing, they've benefited massively from that. You compare it to other regions, even other U.S. states, the comparison could be unfavorable. And a lot of the experimentation and in some cases mistakes that were made, the trial and error, those learnings can be applied elsewhere. The concern we have, though, is that by making this a public debate about leaving California and kind of having that, hey, we're really going to leave this, we're serious. When you take that stance, we can't help it to put ourselves in the position of someone going to work, being asked to go to work and taking some kind of risk, not being forced to go to work, but taking some risk and saying, maybe the next time the UAW sends me a flyer, I might read it. And so we're concerned that might backfire a little bit. But there's no doubt in our mind that over time that Fremont's proportion of global production will go down. And we think the next plant is clearly going to be in Texas, where Elon is spending more time in Boca Chica anyway with his passion, which is space.